Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Shweta and today we'll discuss the education implications of Piaget theories. The previous two videos that I had uploaded, they talked about schemas and then about the four stages of development that were given by Piaget. Today we'll discuss the education implications of that theory. So I am making this video assuming that the conceptual clarity on schemas and stages of development has been attained, and a lot of discussion I had taken up in my previous videos on Piaget's theory and what we mean by schemas and constructivism. So now we move ahead in this video and discuss why they are important to us as educators and as teachers. So, just a recapitulation, there were four stages of Piaget's cognitive development. Sensorimotor, which was for the year 0 to 2 for infants. Pre-operational, which is early childhood and also the middle childhood from the age group 3 to 7. Complete operational, which includes children of the age group 7 to 12. And the formal operation that includes the adolescents primarily, that is the age group 12 to 19 mostly. Now let's just first discuss the education implications for sensorimotor stage. Now this is a stage where usually the teachers don't have much to do, but the parents have. So the main educator here is the parent, because the child, the newborn child, the infant doesn't start going to school immediately to birth. I mean, the usual age at which the infant starts going to school is normally starts at around 1.8. Some parents start sending their kids to the preschool or the kindergarten at 2 or above 2. So these implications, they don't really have much to do with teachers, but of course for parents. So as we had discussed while discussing this sensorimotor stage in the previous videos, that this is the time when the first signs of language appear. And the infant is mostly observing things, looking at things around. So it's for the parents, the primary caregiver, which is usually the mother, to always give that environment where a lot of language, speech, talking, communication is happening around the child. And whenever the parents, they are carrying the baby, they should be looking straight into their face and eyes and talking, because that's how they start catching the words. And we had discussed that the first words are in the form of cooing, the vowel words, and the babbling words gradually as the baby starts growing to 2 months or 3 months. So we have to introduce the baby with a lot of words, looking into the face directly in their eyes and talking to them helps a lot. Then we also had learnt in the sensory motor stage, that is the infant stage, the babies, they lack coordination. Their balance is not very well developed. For the reason they will be falling off and they will be dropping things and making a lot of mess. So this is the time when a lot of toys can be given to them to hold and grasp and to balance and just to improve their coordination. Also, this is a period where a lot of goal-directed activities, like we've seen that the child keeps, an infant keeps throwing his legs and hands into the air aimlessly, keeps on moving. That's a natural and aimless activity. The infant is not doing this movement intentionally. I'm talking about an infant of 2-3 months old who's mostly spending the time on bed or on floor and is will not learn to crawl or walk. So those babies are continuously throwing up hands and feet in the air. So this activity does not have any goal. They're just doing it like that. But then goal-directed activity is developing at this stage. Gradually, the babies, they start reaching out for their favorite toys or for the glass of milk, or out of curiosity, they would be looking and crawling, trying to crawl or reach their hands to hold something. So that is a goal-directed activity, when the movement of the baby is to achieve something, to do something for a goal. So we as parents, we have to encourage this goal-directed activity. So giving them, placing toys at a little distance so that they can walk and they can try to move and try to crawl and then get that thing. And then gradually increasing the complexity of this goal-directed activities, giving them more puzzle-like games, like placing a stone somewhere and asking the child to look for it. And all these can be encouraged to improve goal directedness and coordination and motor and movement and balance of the eyes and the brain and all that gradually till from when the baby is growing from 0 months to 2 years. Now, at this stage, the babies are very curious. They want to know everything. They want to see everything. And as parents, often we are scared of them getting hurt or breaking something, we're doing something seriously, and some baby is making a mess or making a noise and disturbing us. All these things bother us a lot as parents. But we should understand that this is a stage of exploration. The whole world is new to the baby, and it's natural for the baby to explore the world and satisfy their curiosity. So they'll be touching things and let them do that. Let them make a mess and let them move around, and it's fine if they are breaking a few things or getting on your nerves at times. It's absolutely fine. By the end of 2 years, a lot of parents start sending their kids to kindergarten, daycares, and that's fine if the child is ready, if the child is seemingly not showing any sign of the stress, then it's absolutely okay to send the child to kindergarten, not for studying, but just for interacting and for improving coordination, observation, and cognitive skills. Because Piaget's theory is only about cognition, so we're not touching the social elements right now. But then, yes, kindergartens play a huge important role in social development, but that's not what we are taking up here. So, according to Piaget's theory, the more the child will be exposed to activities that enhance, that involve some stimulation in the mind, cognitive development will continue. So, this revising what can be the educational implications primarily for the caregivers and parents, not for the teachers, because this is not the time where this child is regularly going to school. Foster language development, talk to them, look into their face, improve their coordination, give them squeaky toys. Yes, squeaky toys have you must have seen those squeaky toys being given to very small babies, because when they press those toys, there's a sound coming out and that excites them, they laugh at it or they enjoy it. Now, this actually has a logical reason for giving them to babies, because this is actually something that has to do with cause and effect relationship. They are pressing it, and because of which there is a sound. So this tries to convey a message to the baby that there's a cause and effect relationship between things. So there's a reason why squeaky toys should be given to small babies. And of course, grasping things, toys, all that, all those motor skills is also related to cognition. So those can also be improved by giving them those toys, letting them explore, letting them crawl around and walk around when they can, and then do as much as mess as they want, satisfy their curiosity, show them, take them out of the house, expose them to different things, different concepts. Even though they are small babies, and Piaget says that concept formation is not happening at very, very large scale and at an abstract level at this stage, but still exposing them to difficult situations, exposing them to different situations, not difficult, will of course encourage the concept formation or prepare them for concept formation, that the schema formation that has to happen in the very next advanced stage, which is childhood. So now we move on to the education implications for pre-operational stage, which is at 3 to 7, and this has been basically divided into two groups. Pre-conceptual, which is generally taken up as the 3 to 4, 3 to 5 years, and conceptual to 7. Because conceptual age, when the child reaches to conceptual age, by the time the child is 5 years old, the elements of the next stage start coming into this. So this is the stage when the child starts going to school. And we had studied during our Piaget's discussion on the stages of development that child is highly egocentric. Egocentric means the child is only, it's very self-centered. The child believes that the entire world revolves around him or her and his or her problems, even if they are very little, even if they are relating to toffee or a chocolate or something very basic. They believe that it's problems that the entire world should be concerned about. मुझे खाना नहीं मिला शाम को, ये दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है. So मुझे आज दुकान से मम्मी ने खरीद के नहीं दिया, पूरी दुकान पे लेट गए, रोने लगे. Kids, they're very self-centered. They don't think logically. They only think they are naturally self-centered. There's nothing wrong in that. That's how children are. So how to act, and this egocentrism, this naturally decreases as the child grows old. But at this stage, we can facilitate this process of decreasing of this feeling of egocentrism by exposing child to situations, letting the child do a lot of role plays, and letting the child put in other shows so that the child develops empathy and sensitivity towards others, towards the needs of others. We can do that by showing them or telling them moral stories, or asking them, giving them a situation, what would you do in this situation, and things like that. So just to reduce egocentrism, we can encourage, of course this is a stage where a lot of pressure shouldn't be given for reading and writing, but learning through plays, through role plays works wonders, and especially to decrease of the egocentric feeling in children. Let them dress up as doctors, let them dress up as teachers, and act like them, and then give them situations. What would you do? The patient doesn't have money, but the patient is sick and you're a doctor. What would you do? Would you want to help the patient for free? And such situations, such role plays can be done, and the children will enjoy and will also become more sensitized towards the needs of others, and egocentrism will decrease, and of course learning will also happen. Now, at this stage, I'm talking about children from 3 to 5 or 3 to 6 generally. At this stage, they play a lot with, and they should play a lot with sand and clay and water, because this is the period when their gross motor skills, the fine motor skills are developing. Now, I would just like to explain what gross motor skills and fine motor skills. When I'm touching this object, I'm using this part of my hand, so that's gross motor skill. But then if I have to write something, I have to use my fingers, and it is more precise work. It is more, it requires more precision and more attention and concentration. So it's a finer kind of a work. So this requires fine motor. So fine motor skills is the fingers and the smaller muscles of the body with perfection that need to be developed at this stage. They develop naturally, but then we have to facilitate that process according to Piaget, and that can be done by exposing them, giving them a lot of activities where they can play with sand, clay, and water, and engage in those activities. Giving them, now this is the stage where I discussed when I was talking about Piaget's theory, that concept formation has just started, but they have an ability, they have a tendency to generalize everything. Like if there is a four-legged animal, it has to be dog, because there is a dog at home who has 4 legs. So this kind of generalization, anybody with a duster or a marker is a teacher, because that's what the child has seen at school. So all these generalizations, this concept formation is not very proper at this age. It starts to begin at the next stage. So it's very important to give them a lot of concepts and acquaint them, keep trying to enable them to differentiate, to understand, to recognize and form categories and understand concepts. Coloring is a very good way of, coloring not only enhances their their visual skills, but also helps improving motor coordination, the balance, and the motor skill advancement. Because this is a period when the children are exposed to a lot of reading and writing. Homework is being given at this stage, and word power is increasing. They are continuously learning to write new things, learn and read new things. So Scrabble is a very good game that the children can actually take up at school or at home, because it's a word making game, and it really enhances the cognitive abilities, and also enhances speech and language development. As I'd already discussed, build their concepts, work on building their concepts, give them activities like classify, distinguish. Although they will not be able to do it very nicely, but then we can facilitate this process that will actually be developing in the next stage. So what all we can do, we can encourage for children, the age group 3 to 7, the early and middle childhood, we can encourage decrease of egocentrism by sensitizing them towards others' needs, by model stories, encouraging them to do role plays, then enhance their motor skills, by making them use of their fingers and hands, and let them get into sand and clay and water, and let them make shapes out of these sand and clay, and cut out and make words and scrabbles and word games, then coloring and pictorially representing and showing them the concepts to enhance concept formation. Now the next stage is the conceptual stage, when the child is in the age group 7 to 12. Here, as we had discussed, that conservation skills are not developed. In the previous video, we had discussed this in detail, that conservation skills are not developed during early and middle childhood. Now, this stage that we are discussing is the conceptual stage, which is the late childhood, we can say. When the child has crossed the early and the middle childhood. So conservation starts the child starts learning conservation at this stage, but has not yet mastered it. What is conservation? Like I have given an example in my previous video, that if there's a bar of chocolate and somebody melts it and makes it, converts it into a ball, the child will assume that the chocolate has reduced. The child assumes that it has not been conserved. Similarly, if there's a long beaker full of water, if water is transferred into another flask which is flat and a little lesser in height, the child will assume that water has decreased, although the quantity was same. So that means the child lacks conservation skills. Conservation of quantity, conservation of space is something that is lacking in the child. So at this stage, it is very important. So now when the child has crossed the early and the middle childhood and entered into conceptual stage, which is the late childhood, conservation skills, they start appearing. Conservation gets restored. So what should we do at this stage? We should facilitate this process by giving them to do little experiments and expose them to give them measuring utensils, flasks, let them measure, show them that this liquid was transferred from this flask to another. So activities like this, liquid transferred from this flask to another, calculate how much was lost, and change the shape of this bar, and use a clay, and the volume should be same, the weight should be same, develop different materials. All those small basic activities can be given at this stage. Simple experiments like baking, cooking can also help, because they also require measuring quantities of various ingredients, and it's also a fun activity. So all that can be done at this stage. This is also a stage where the child is not just able to read and write, because that the child had learned in the early and the middle childhood. The child is already writing, and though not with a lot of perfection, but writing, is able to do homework with help, sometimes independently, and is also able to speak fluently, depending on the conditions at home and school, and but still not very fluently creating or writing a poem, or very good at creative writing. Here at this stage, when the child has moved to the conceptual stage, where the child is in the age group 7 to 12, creative writing can be encouraged. Complex creative writing can be given to the child and encouraged. The child can take part in a lot of competitions and write poems, recite poems. Now, at this stage, concept formation starts improving, because conservation skills have also got proper. So, relationships, classes, concepts. So, teaching should also be based on these areas. The teacher should always take care that practical examples should be given to children so that they can understand the relationship between various classes. They understand to analyze and categorize various concepts. ये metals हैं तो इनकी ये properties हैं, ये non-metals हैं तो इनकी ये properties हैं. So this kind of teaching should be encouraged at this level. Children are now not very small that they can take care of themselves to some extent. So they should be exposed. They should be given a lot of exposure by taking them to visits and excursions, and they not only enjoy this, but they also grasp a lot of information from the world. So this, give them simple projects to learn, because at this stage the child starts thinking logically, applying reasoning, though not very perfectly, but then yes, a lot in comparison to the previous stages. So give them those simple projects to do and build something simple but effective. So these are the points that I discussed for the conceptual for children, the age group 7 to 12. Now we move on to formal operation stage, which is the last stage of Piaget, which includes the group of teenagers. And we've already studied that adolescence is a very crucial age. It's an age of transition from child to an adult, and it's the stage of storm, stress, and strain, and all those hormonal changes taking place in the body and identity crisis. We've studied all that. So as a teacher, now Piaget is only talking about the cognitive characteristics of the adolescent. So what he has mentioned in his theory, that this is a stage when critical thinking develops, abstract thinking, that is complex thinking can be done, difficult thinking, imagination, reasoning, deductive, inductive reasoning can be done by the adolescent. So give them, the curriculum should also be in accordance with this. The teaching method should also be in accordance with these abilities, that and to facilitate this reasoning which is developing at this stage. How can we do that? We can give them real life problems and ask them to solve them. We can also give them projects to develop something, solve a problem, observe the problems around them, so that they can think, reason, and find out solutions. So we can, as I said, at this stage, abstract thinking develops. That is, what is abstract thinking and what is concrete? Till childhood, the thinking was concrete. That is, if I have to teach about this object should be shown to them and should be in front of them. It's something that they should be able to touch and feel and then learn. But but for an adolescent, it's not necessary that the object has to be present. We can let the adolescent imagine a situation where this object is present, and then what will you do with this object. So this kind of thinking that uses high order cognitive abilities like imagining something, manipulating something, or reasoning, this type of thinking is called abstract. It's a high level, more difficult thinking. So the problems should also be based on these abilities that the adolescents require, and reasoning activities should also be given. Let them do a lot of debates and discussions, sit together and talk, of course, in the presence of the teacher, on various issues, important issues, controversial issues. This will help them develop a point of view and also critically analyze things and learn right and wrong and develop their own right and wrong, because now they can do this. According to Piaget, they can be given things to think on various serious issues like the politics, the values, all that discussion, write-ups, logic-based learning should be given to adolescents at this stage. So